Let's make my Snippet 4-patch quilt pattern that uses only a layer cake. Layer cake are 10-inch squares, and for this pattern you will need 42 10-inch squares, which will yield you a 54-inch by 63-inch throw size quilt. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. First, you will select 21 10-inch squares and subcut them into 4 5-inch squares per each layer cake 10-inch square. Then with the remaining 21 10-inch squares, you will be subcutting them into a 9.5-inch square. And then once everything is cut, you will select 4 5-inch squares in mixed prints and create a 4-patch quilt block. Then you'll sew your squares together into rows, and then lastly sew your rows together to create a 9.5-inch quilt block. Now, Snippet 4-patch is perfect for beginners, so here's a quick tip for my beginner quilters. First, only cut out your 5-inch squares, then once your 4-patch blocks are made, measure that block and then cut the remaining 10-inch squares to the same size. Once again, it should measure as a 9.5-inch square, but if you are just starting out, sometimes our 1/4-inch seam allowances might be a little bit off, and this tip will help make sure that everything is the same size for when you piece it all back together. Speaking of which, once all of your blocks are finished, it is time to lay your quilt out. And first you will start with a 4-patch, followed by your print 9.5-inch square, and then you'll just alternate between the two. Then as always, you'll sew your blocks together into rows, and then lastly, sew your rows together to complete your quilt top. And here is what my quilt top looks like all completed. For the backing, I am using a coordinated print from within the collection, and as for the thread choice, I was debating between latte and pistachio from Glide Threads, and I ended up going with pistachio since there are little pops of minty greens within this collection. And here is what my quilt looks like all quilted. Once again, one layer cake will yield you a 54-inch by 63-inch quilt, which you can whip up pretty quickly, and this is perfect for bed-sized quilts and those last-minute gifts. But if you could please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can be notified for your next amazing quilt project.